So today we have a threesome. Yeah, I've got two guests on today who I'm super excited to introduce to you and to each other, Nathalie Niddam and Alice Hart Davis. Both are previous guests to the Hack My Age podcast, and I will have links to those podcasts in the show notes. Now, I decided last minute to gather these powerhouses in the biohacking and beauty industry to discuss this conundrum of beauty standards and medical aesthetics and try to figure out how to navigate like our feelings and emotions and desires about beauty while going through the menopause transition and even beyond as we hit our 60s and 70s. So I'm in my 50s. Natalie's approaching 60 and Alice is now in her 60s. And Alice is a former specialist aesthetics journalist with 20 years of reporting on the beauty and the medical aesthetics industry. She's also the founder of the Tweakments Guide, which is a content and e-commerce business focused on aesthetic treatments and skincare. So she really knows just about everything there is to know that is out there on the market today. And the stuff that Nathalie, you and I are all just starting to get familiar with as we age. And this episode came to be because of a conversation I was having with my biohacking bestie, Nathalie, who is not only an expert in peptides, but she's also a certified holistic nutritionist, an Apeiron Academy Epigenetic Coach, and a member of that first graduating class of the Bulletproof Training Institute. And if you've been following me for more than a minute, you know Nathalie also has one of the best podcasts on the planet. It's now rated in the top 100 podcasts in the US and Canada in her category. And there are millions of podcasts out there, so it's quite the achievement. So a few weeks ago, Nat and I were talking about the trends of like big lips and fillers and what people are just getting into. And we had so many interesting things to say. I thought that the topic really deserved a podcast to get information out to you. But I also wanted to hear from a woman with experience and some wisdom to give us some guidance on really how to navigate this actually pretty difficult transition in life, still, looking and feeling our best on any budget. And so Alice came to mind. And she's really an authority in this area. And her mission is to educate and to be authentic and being transparent in this world of aesthetics. And I'll have links to all of Alice's and Nathalie's amazing work in the show notes where you can find out so much more about them. So now, without further ado, let's meet Nathalie Niddam and Alice Hart Davis. Welcome.
Hi, lovely to be here. Thank you for including me.
Same here. Thanks for including me. It's great to meet you, Alice. I've heard amazing things about you and actually read some of your work. But when Zora talked to me about it, I was like, oh, who is this person? I was like, oh, cool. She's to view.
I hope that's good. Yeah, well, your podcast has gone straight to the top of my must listen. So it's going to give me a lot of entertainment and a lot of learning, I know.
It's so great. So, okay. Let's dive right into this. Really, I want the women who are listening right now are women just basically going through this menopause transition and making that transition has so many challenges. And it's anywhere from, 40s, 50s up into 60, but generally 40s and 50s. And not everyone has a hard time, but for many of us, like we see our skin starting to sag and things start to dry up and wrinkles appear and liver spots and sun damage and the gray hair or thinning hair or hair loss. We lose fat in places that we don't want to lose it. Our bone structure may change, body composition, and just generally we're seeing and feeling the signs of aging, and some faster than others. But it really eventually makes its presence known, and not all of us are ready for it. So what do? We go and turn to Botox and hair dyes and fillers, and we spend a fortune on creams and serums and peptides, and we're basically trying to hang on to our youth and resisting this change. And I admit it's not even easy for me. And I understand that I'm not young anymore, and that's fine, but I'm not old either. So I am in transition, and transitions are hard. And now in my 50s, it's not only about just using an eye cream with an option maybe to do a facelift one day. It's different now. Before, our moms just had these two extremes, and I'm now discovering this whole world of medical aesthetics, and it's expensive, it's time consuming, and not everyone has the time and the money to spend on it or any at all. So I'm sure the listener is just right here with me. And I think I think that most people listening have seen either on social media or perhaps a friend or someone they crossed on the street with perhaps oversized lips or overfilled cheeks and expressionless wrinkle-free face. And there's really no moral judgment here at all whatsoever from my side. It's personally, I believe people should do whatever makes them happy, not worry what others think. I admit I've done Botox and lasers, and I had my first Profilo, which is hyaluronic acid treatment, just last month. But as I discover something new and I see this new image of beauty around me, I wonder, is this for me? Is this something I'll be doing too? And will I like it? And will my idea of what is beautiful change? Will I have enough money for any of these treatments if I eventually want to do them? So just a lot of questions pop up. And I want the listener in the end of this podcast to have a tool, a technique, or perspective that she can use to navigate all that's surrounding her so that she can make the right choice for her, including doing absolutely nothing at all, or just a daily cleansing ritual or something. So let's start with Natalie, because it was you and I who had this conversation, and you're now in Canada, but you travel quite a lot. What are you seeing in your world of beauty, and how has it evolved in the last 5 or 10 years?
Thanks, Zora. Well, look, I mean, everything that you say is 100% right. Women trying to hang on to the youthful looks, but at the same time, young women starting much sooner to intervene. And again, no judgment, but I would say maybe a little too soon in many cases, because I think that one of the challenges, one of the interesting thing is that to answer your first question about what am I seeing, I'm seeing an explosion in regenerative techniques that can also be used for aesthetics, which is a very interesting, it's a very interesting kind of world where there's starting to be opportunities to, and frankly, PRP's been around for a long time, where we're tapping into the body's own resources, reintroducing them to the body to affect how we look. Sometimes it can be used as filler. There's a very famous plastic surgeon that we all follow who talks about this fat transfer technique where, you mentioned we're losing fat where we don't want it. We're picking it up where we do. Well, we're losing fat where we don't want it, and we're picking it up where we don't want it. And so everything's ending up in the wrong place. But he has a technique called the fat transfer technique, where he takes fat from one place and puts it back where we want it more. And I think that, I think what I'm seeing is all the things that we all see, right? We're seeing a world where the standards that are set up for women, how women look, are very, very high. And one of the things we were talking about was, I recently did a campaign for an anti-aging supplement, and the comments under that campaign were, in some cases, fantastic, but in many cases were, I mean, it's a good thing I have a fairly good size ego, because they were crushing. And people are really, they're very hard on women as we age. And so on the one hand, people get criticized for doing fillers and Botox and all the things. And on the other hand, you've got another, maybe the same group of people being very judgmental about people's looks as they start to age and these changes start to happen. So I think that, navigating this, and especially navigating this as someone who ends up on camera a fair bit, and, in this world, the temptation is, I'm going to go get a facelift. I'm just going to I'm just going to throw in the towel. I'm going to get a facelift. There's a woman in our space who had an incredible facelift a couple of years ago. She looks spectacular. And then there's another part of me that says, okay, let's just slow down a little bit. Let's think about this for a second. Let's think about, what are we really responding to, and what is the ultimate goal? And these are incredibly personal decisions that we have to make for ourselves. And so for me, and one thing I've learned in my life is never say never. Never think that now what you're going to be thinking in 5 years or 10 years, or when you are in a situation that you are not currently in, because your perspective, your experience, everything will evolve. But at this time, my choice is to do everything I can to support my skin and my health in terms of this world that I'm in, where I had very small stem cell, this V cells injected into my face, which is essentially pulled from my own blood and reintroduced into my body. I use the lotions and the potions and the creams and all the things, which we know will only take us so far. Like, they're not going to rebuild bone. They're not going to be re-establishing the scaffolding that holds our face up, which is part of what starts to sag. But my choice right now at this time is to do whatever is available to me that is more endogenous to my body, and to try and stay away from things like Botox, which I've done in the past, fillers, which I've done in the past. And just because that is my choice right now. I use my face a lot in communication. Frankly, we all do. And there's some really interesting data that actually Molly Eastman was just sharing with me about how, with all the Botox that people are doing, it's changing their ability, it's impacting their ability to communicate non-verbally with people.
Oh, interesting.
So, which isn't, again, not to say that it's bad. I'm just saying, it's just, there are so many things to consider. And I'm hoping that we each individually we can individually make a decision for ourselves that we truly feel supports us in our ultimate goals and our journeys, and that we as women can support each other, so that we don't walk around judging each other. We don't walk around saying, geez, she's looking a little old over there. We celebrate the women who choose to allow their faces to evolve and age however they're aging, whether it's gracefully or not gracefully, to go through that journey and allow their face to speak for their life experience. And at the same time, we put our arms around the women who aren't ready for that and who are doing everything they can to fight it. Like, as women, I think it's important for us to just kind of, maintain that sisterhood and support each other in all the decisions we make. So I'm done. I've been talking for time. Sorry.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I appreciate your experience and sharing exactly what you're seeing. And it's not easy. And I think we all externally want to support each other, or we would say things, yes, I am, but internally we may not. And I don't know, how to navigate this. I mean, this is again a societal view, and our societies are different. If you're living in Asia, standards of beauty is different than in Europe or in the US. But Alice, you're in the UK, and you're also a specialist in this arena, and you've probably seen a lot more than Nat and I put together. But what are your thoughts on the image? Yeah,
I think all the same stuff. I mean, 100% agree with everything that has said. It's the standards are impossibly high. I'd say they're global. They're not that different in the UK among the people who bother about these things to the way they are in the rest of the world. Though I would say that Korea takes it up several notches. You're going to be considering and doing a lot more if you're over there. But it's for everybody to work out what they are comfortable, and yeah, for goodness sake, celebrate each other rather than judging, which is key in every area. But I mean, what's really happened in the past 10 years, it's the Kardashians' rule. That's what's really changed, because from them we've seen this fantastic sort of image of the Instagram face, which has been so widely copied and has become such a template for so many people, with the lovely smooth complexion, with the sleek hair, with the strong eyebrows, with the perfectly formed lips, cheeks, whatever. And as Nat was pointing out, this is being picked up by a younger demographic, because aesthetics, 25 years ago, it was only for old people to make them look a bit less old, to soften the impact of aging. But for the young, it's become about amping up what they've already got. It's beautification, and it's terrifying that they don't see their natural beauty, and they will go to such lengths. I know what you're saying about people walking around with frozen foreheads and big lips, but to me that speaks of work that's been badly done, of practitioners that don't understand what is actually nice for a face, that they are pushing the face into a cookie cutter pattern that they have been taught to inject. They're not actually stopping to think about the person in front of them. The really difficult thing in this area, this whole area of elective cosmetic medical procedures, which is my particular specialty, is choosing somebody who's really good, who's not only medically trained and has got a lot of very specialized experience in the techniques that they're offering, but keeps up enhancing their training, develops expertise, knows how to manage complications, but also has an artistic eye, so that they will look at, you know, your face or my face and see something different in how they could address the concerns we present with, because it's not just about going to them and saying do whatever. It's the practitioner needs to listen to whether you're saying you don't like the way your complexion has pigmentation or flushes, or you don't like particular frown lines. You know, they shouldn't just blitz it with everything they have available. But I think a lot of women, certainly older women in the UK, are still very cautious about engaging with aesthetic procedures, because they see all this terrible work, and that's in the UK particularly driven by the fact that there is no regulation yet around who does cosmetic medical procedures. They are it's perfectly legal for anybody to train. Many of the training schools will train non-medics. That means there's a lot of people out there offering cheap treatments. They have learnt from people who shouldn't be teaching non-medics. The standards aren't great. The products they use aren't great. We don't have a controlled supply of the products that are used for toxin injections. They are because there's a prescription medical drugs. But fillers are just called medical devices over here, so we have hundreds on the market, whereas, you know, in the States, you can only have the ones that are FDA approved, so it is much more sort of contained like that. But in terms of how women navigating menopause should look at this and what they can do, I mean, skincare is the place to start. But before even that, I would say hormone supplementation, because menopause is essentially a hormone deficiency. I think if all men ran out of crucial hormones at a particular stage of their life in the way that women do, it wouldn't just be a, oh dear, it's natural, suck it up. You know, it would be a very fixable thing. And hormone supplementation is available in the UK. A lot of the GPs are not good at prescribing it, not particularly sympathetic, but most women, if they can get hold of it, can take some form of hormone replacement, and that will alleviate the worst of the symptoms. It will stop your skin from getting all thin and dry and that crepey looking. It will keep your joints and your brain and your heart and your mind and everything functioning much more like it used to. So everybody's always asking me about, you know, what skincare should they use for the menopause. You know, you should use skincare that's appropriate to your skin type. But if you have estrogen back in your system, and preferably testosterone, progesterone as well, then your skin type should probably remain much the same as it has been before. Therefore, you're looking at whether you're treating an oily skin or a dry skin or a sensitive skin, which is just the skin that needs more balancing care, than saying, oh, I have menopause skin. But like you were saying, you know, menopause is going to make the skin drier because there's a lack of estrogen. You lose the sort of the hydration capacity in your skin. The skin barrier becomes impaired. You become more sensitive to UV light, so you pick up more pigmentation. If you have rosacea, it becomes worse. You know, it's a disastrous list of symptoms for the skin, as it is for many other areas of the body that might be considered more serious, like the brain fog and the aching joints and the night sweats and everything else. So there's an awful lot going on there, but I think for each of us has to work out what we really want in this area. Are we that bothered about losing our looks? I mean, you know, there's such a huge movement for grey hair positivity, age positivity, which is fab to see. And yet I see my midlife fashion influencer friends certainly complaining endlessly about the number of brands who simply won't engage with them because they're in their 50s. And you think this is mad. And the same to a lesser extent, I think, for beauty, but because that demographic is the one, you know, our demographic, it has the money to
Mhm.
spend on treatments or skincare, wherever there is extra cash, it is very much with the older spender. So the advertisers ignore us to their detriment. But yeah, I do appreciate these things, the Tweakments that I'm looking at. They are quite unnecessary. None of us needs them. They're fascinating because they fill in that gap between skincare and the facelift. And there didn't used to be anything we could do to manage how we looked as we age. But now there's this enormous range of things, from a little bit of light therapy and skin peels all the way through to aggressive skin resurfacing stuff. And I've tried pretty well all of them over the years, so I won't start listing them unless people want to know particular things. But yeah, the only way to get through it is to work out what you want, and surround yourself with some people who have the same values, so you don't find yourself being dragged off track. We do have an agency in this, and we need to decide for ourselves what we want. Stick to that.
That's a good point. Natalie, do you want to say anything about that, or have any questions?
No, I mean, I think that I think Alice said it really well. I think that it's we just it's and I think it starts at menopause also. There's so many other factors that are falling apart at the same time. Women aren't sleeping, they're starting to put weight on, their moods are changing, their emotions are changing. Like there's so much going on at that time, and then to see your face fall at the same time as your butt's falling down just sucks, right? I mean, it's just, there's nothing quite like it. Or who was it, Shirley MacLaine, that says the minute you get your head together your ass falls down. Like, I mean, it's just it's this thing that happens. But I think that addressing the foundations before you run, and maybe this is part of what we're seeing. And the thing that Alice said that I almost nodded my head off with was, practitioners who don't treat, who lack artistry, right? People in this industry like the guy I mentioned earlier, why do we love his work? Because every woman walks out looking like a younger version of herself. She doesn't walk out looking like a carbon copy of the last 10 women who walked out of that place, who essentially all kind of have the same thing going on. So, I mean, the last time I did filler, I just really wanted to address these little lines around my lips. I had a massive fight with the person who was doing the filler because she wanted to use like double what I was allowing her to use. And she said, no, but your lips will be so beautiful. And I'm like, no, they will not be my lips. They will be somebody else's lips. And I want my lips. All I want is not those lines. So we had this big brawl. She's standing there with a syringe. I'm like, wait. And I ended up winning, which as it should be, right? Because at the end of the day, it's my face. I got to walk around with it. Because I've been to the movie where I went to someone who didn't know me and who I didn't know, and this goes back a number of years, and did way too much coming out of the gate. And I remember coming home looking like someone not me, and a lot of my friends kind of looking at me. Nobody dared say anything, including my husband. And it took him forever to actually mention, like, so what exactly did you do that day that you said you were for a facial? It's like,
just going for a facial.
I told him I'm going to a facial. I left him at the Pompidou Museum with my son. We were in Paris, and I went off and this woman was a plastic surgeon, and she was very good. But in her defense, I was leaving in 2 days. And so she's like, look, I never do this much on anyone's face all at once, but I'm going to do it for you. And I came home and I looked honestly like a freak. It was awful. It was just awful. And that for me, I would say it took over a year for me to get my smile back in a way that I recognized it.
Wow.
So, understand that whatever you decide to do, baby steps, you're never going to lose by going in baby steps rather than going whole hog. Think about keeping your look. If you're going to do this stuff, as Alice said, find someone who is going to look at you and make you look like a better version of you, as opposed to trying to make you look like some new I'm sorry to say it, kind of dysmorphic image of what women are supposed to look like now, with these giant lips and big giant cheekbones. And I mean, I've seen someone recently, like, people end up looking a bit like caricatures sometimes. And the worst part is, I think that their own sense of aesthetic starts to twist a little bit, right? We're seeing so much of it in the media and on the streets that it's starting to become the norm. So I just think it's so important for us to stay grounded in what our objectives are, and to respect this whatever face you've been given, which is a beautiful face, right? And just what you're trying to do is refresh, right? And if you want to turn the clock back 20 years, that is possible, but that's a big step, and you have to be prepared for that. And I'm hoping that, there's a preparation, like a psychological preparation that goes into preparing someone for taking off the bandages and not being recognizable to themselves from 2 days ago, kind of thing. So, I'm being a bit of a negative Nelly about it. I think it's great that we have this array of options and opportunities before us. And maybe Alice can speak to some of the different new techniques and strategies that she's seeing being used more recently that maybe are a little less invasive, hopefully are a little less toxic, and just give women that option before they go get their whole face lifted.
One thing I want to ask before Alice answers that, you mentioned this is sort of what concerns me personally, and how I'm going to navigate this next 10 years or so, is when you say that there's this new look. And it reminds me of when the wedges came out, and I was like, ew, those are ugly. Like, I would never wear wedges. And then I buy wedges because I get used to seeing them. It was a new trend. And then finally I see it on someone else and I think they're cute. And then I buy my wedges, and I'm wondering, like, this new look, and I'm wondering how to navigate it. Am I going to be one of those people who go, hey, you know what, I really like those really big lips and I like the big cheeks, like that's going to be a trend now, and then I'm going to want to do this? And this is where I'm wondering if Alice, if you've seen probably trends come and go with medical aesthetics. Like, is that what's going to happen to me?
Please no. I would say, sorry, you have agency. You know what's good. The fact that we talk about these things as looking weird means we have not lost our sense of perspective. The human eye is very good at telling when a face is off. We can all spot bad work. Yes, there's a lot of it around, and yes, there's an unfortunate number of people who seem to think that the extra big lips or the super high brows are a good look. But we all know in that nanosecond of recognition when we see somebody across the street, if like they're looking weird, we can tell that. And yeah, there is a lot of body dysmorphia in this area. There's a lot of it among practitioners. The practitioners all the good practitioners, the guys I work with, they it's really challenging because all the patients who come in with tendencies towards body dysmorphia are very hard to deal with. They're very hard to please. You're never going to please them because they'll find something else that's wrong with your work or with what people did before. But
what are they doing about that? Like, that's
they all have
problem.
Increasingly clever questionnaires to try and root out people who are seeking treatment for the wrong reasons. I had a fascinating lunch earlier this week with 2 practitioners from the States and 2 from London, and we were all talking about this, like, what on earth can you do? Because I think it's more difficult in the States to refuse people treatment, but you just need to spot the problems and neatly pass them on, saying my aesthetic skills are not up to doing what it is that you want or require. But trying to persuade people to have, if they insist on having treatment, on having appropriate treatment, trying to explain to them why what they think would be good will look weird on their faces, because we don't all have faces that can support enormous lips or super plump cheekbones.
But at the same time, who are we to judge that what's beauty or not beauty, or what's weird not weird? When you think about
that's very true, but I think
no.
you know, Zora, you've got more agency that would, you know, choosing to wear wedges because everyone else is one thing. Choosing to completely disfigure your own face because I don't know. I've been in this industry for a long time, and you know, we see it all around, but it hasn't made me want to change myself that much. I don't think I look weird at the moment.
No, you look fabulous.
And I hope that I have, thank you. And I hope there's a whole load of people who would call me out on social media or my doctor friends, let alone my family and friends, if I started looking bizarre and unlike myself. I mean, you're absolutely right, Nat. There is, but perception drift is very real, and we see it at play in the lips. That you know, you think your lips need to be bigger. You start looking at more pictures of bigger lips online. You get fed more of that by the algorithm. Before you know it, you know, you are deeply dissatisfied with your own lips, and and that can apply to all areas of the face. And it's a very difficult thing because you know, I would want to shake these people and say, get a life. You know, you do not need, you know, the fact that you don't look in these pictures like you did in those pictures when they all go into the practitioners and show them a whole raft of pictures saying, I want to look like this, but I often, when I shine a torch under my chin, you know, look like that. And you, well, this is just how you present in different assets. We cannot all go around being a filtered version of ourselves the whole time. We spend far too long looking at our faces. You know, in lockdowns had a huge impact on this, because people who had not been accustomed to staring at their faces half a day on screen often got a shock, were dissatisfied with what they saw, came out thinking they need to do something, may have rushed off and done too much as a result. But it's that really difficult thing of trying to work out who you are, what you want out of engaging with any of these things, and keeping a sense of perspective. I mean, really important to find a practitioner who can help you keep that perspective. I mean, I've have practitioners who often I will go in and say, oh, I need this. I think I need this. Look, I need filler. My face has gone hollow. And they'll say no. Or I'll say, I'm really fretting about this sebaceous hyperplasia all over my forehead. They say, for goodness sake, you cannot see them. I said, put in a 20 times magnifying mirror. They're there. Just stop. You know, it's like people get very worked up about their pores. Nobody sees anybody else's pores unless they are closer, that pores are not the thing on their mind when they get that close. And yet everybody stresses about it enormously. And of course, there's sort of nice skincare you can use. There are treatments that would help, but it's kind of the last level of icing on the cake. I mean, you want to be healthy, you want to be happy. I bother about, and you see, I've got loads of grey roots. That's the first thing I need to attend to right now. Before you start worrying about the slant of your eyebrows and whether you should have threads for fox eyes. You know, the answer is no to that. Threads in the forehead are a very bad idea. Skin's very thin, it doesn't last, and it will often look horrible, and they can often not work. It's just, anyway, a detail. Have I answered the question?
Yes, actually, I think the takeaway I'm getting from here is to know yourself and know what you want, and find that good practitioner if you decide to go. And if you know that you don't want to do any of these things, have that confidence and to not do anything. But it's the how that I question, is because the social pressures are so high, and we do feel like we got to do something, and I'd love to be such thicker skin. And sometimes I wonder, oh, I just want to be 70 and I won't worry about that. And that's so ageist to me to say, as if 70-year-olds don't care about what they look like, which is
they do
wrong. But you know, I feel like I want to get to this point where it can save time and money, and not and I'm not saying I'm looking at my face and I don't obsess about it, but I just see these things evolve. And I do, like Nat said, want to be the best version of myself. I want to keep my own, my own looks, but it's that how, especially there's a story I could just share briefly. I went to interview a medical esthetician on lasers and laser treatments. And it was a little video I did. And then after I turned off the camera, I said, hey, you know, if I were a client, just out of curiosity, and I was about 45 at the time, maybe a little bit younger. And I said, what would you do? I'm just curious, like, what would be like, here's your
Don't ask.
And she was like, oh, we got to fix your hooded eyelids, and we're going to pick up your cheeks, and we're going to fill here, we'll do that. And I was horrified. I walked out of there going, oh my God, I talked to my husband. I was like, I need $10,000. Like I go fix myself. I didn't realize how broken I am. And then I sat and I thought about it, and I was like, wait a second.
You're
I
not.
was perfectly happy with the way I looked before I walked in that clinic. And I just did that for kicks, but I can see somebody who could be very vulnerable and walk out of there and actually really do, you know, start saving the money and try to do all this stuff. And I think it's really dangerous. And I really want to give that woman the tools in terms of how to be strong and to know really what you want. And again, it's just whether you do something or nothing or a little bit, or how it's wherever you are on that spectrum. I would like to give the how, because we have social media all day long. Right?
Yeah, that's very different because sorry, difficult, because as soon as you ask that, there are kind practitioners, thoughtful practitioners who manage to have this conversation with people and send them out from a consultation feeling empowered with a bit of skincare by not saying all those things, which inevitably, you know, you've got, you're right, so you've got to be feeling so tough before you take all of that on board. I mean, I often do ask people just out of curiosity, but I'm kind of, then I've gone and asked, and I have to be braced for what they will say and just regard it with curiosity rather than thinking I now need to go and do stuff because a lot of practitioners think there's an awful lot more I could do with my face, and I dare say there is, but you know, there's only so much I want to, but how to bolster yourself against that, I think that's kind of our life's work going forward, because as you were saying, that, you know, if we don't do anything about what's happening to our faces, our bodies as we age, people make a series of judgments around that. If we do, the judgments come in other ways, because people feel that if you've done stuff and they haven't, that you will be judging them for what it's hideous. It's hideous, and beauty standards have ever been thus. It is worse now than ever. I think it is difficult for women our age. I think it's worse for the younger generations because they feel the pressure to meet some mythical ideal. You know, however many times you say to people our age or younger that Instagram is their highlight reel and Instagram is not real life images, that doesn't resonate in people's brains when they sit and look at it, does it? So they know it in theory, but it still catches the insecure parts of them. I'm constantly being told I need to learn to accept myself and give up all this tweakment BS and get a grip and find out what matters. And I'm delighted that people feel able to say that. But and in general, that's absolutely true. We need to stop worrying about how we look and concentrate on what really matters in life. But to your point, it's incredibly difficult when you know, society
doesn't let you do that
the way it is, and women are judged so harshly. I was just, it was whenever packing to go away for a conference or whatever, and I see, you know, all us women are dragging enormous cases because we've got endless different things. That the blokes just have a nice suit, maybe 2 suits, couple of different shirts, and they're good. And you think maybe I will just have a suit That would make it a lot simpler than trying to have the high heels and the slip dress for the evening and the it just is totally unfair. But I digress. It's difficult. That's all I can say. It's really difficult.
Mm-hmm. Natalie, do you have any tips for a woman to have that perspective, to get a little bit of strength, a little bit more confidence?
I think we have to do our work. You know, I think we have to do our work on our self-confidence. We have to do our work on, you know, the other big defining feature of how old a person presents is how they move.
That
And we're
what?
how they move.
Oh, how they move. Yeah.
How you, I mean, I've been on Instagram far too much this week, unfortunately. And there was a video, I think it was Stevie Nicks, maybe, going out on stage, and the comments, of course, down below are, some of them are lovely and some of them are brutal. And one of them said, she moves like an old woman. And I went back and looked at the video, and sure enough, like, you can tell she's in pain, like she can't move properly. Whereas there's these other accounts that focus on mobility. And there's this one guy in particular, his expression is stay buttery. And he features, and I don't know if it's the same woman or if he features a couple of different women who've got to be in their 70s and 80s, but who move like they're in their 30s, like 30-year-old salsa dancers. Like they just, you know, they're literally buttery. Buttery is the exact word. Maintaining mobility, maintaining that aspect of our how you carry yourself, how you move through the world is going to have everything to do with how you're perceived. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about, it's about doing your inner work, your own having your own confidence in place so that you can maintain your perspective, whether it's telling people to piss off because you like the big lips and that's how you're going to be, or telling an esthetician, no, you will not put a second syringe of that crap into my face because I've decided that's not what I want to look like. You have to have that inner fortitude, and we don't have it. It's not a gift. We work at. I mean, some people maybe have it by nature, but for the rest of us, it is a little bit about leaning into what's really important. It is a little bit about starting to re-educate our thinking so that we're not so freaking focused on how we look that it defines our entire day and our entire way of being. So, and you know, I'm not perfect at this. So I think the invitation to all of us is to figure out, how do we do this work? How do we do all the foundational work that we talk about all the time, right? We're talking about how you eat, how you sleep, are you drinking a ton of alcohol? What are you eating? When are you eating? What are all the things that you're doing to maintain this temple, like this gift you were given however many years ago? And if the face that you're putting out to the world isn't the face that you want to be with right now, then start to think about, what is the least I can do to get the most benefit, if you can. And maybe, you know, I'm going to toss it back to Alice here because you're the expert. Like for me, I've moved into this space of PRP and the very small stem cells. I'm moving away from the world of, I mean, I've noticed like those lines between my eyebrows starting to reappear. I used to treat those with Botox. I haven't in a long time. I'm like, maybe I need a touch up. I don't know, because they make me look angry, right? But I will stop short of like making my forehead a smooth canvas, because for me, I need to move my face to express myself. And I know that. And one of the things I do worry about, going back to younger people over Botoxing their faces, is you got to worry about young moms who can't express themselves, having little babies who rely on facial expression for communication. So I think we just need to like dig a little deeper into the conversation, get a little more deep into yourself, and really try. And I know it's not easy, but try to find a perspective that's really going to serve you. Don't close the door on everything, but just consider what you're really trying to do here, right? And one of the things you said, Alice, resonated with me so much. It's like, what is it about your face you don't like? Like for me, it's the jowls, right? Like I'm like, I can't, if I catch myself at the wrong angle, I'm like, holy shit, oh my God, I look like, you know, whatever character out of whatever. And that's my thing. So if I could fix one thing, probably, because I'll sit there like this, right? I'll do that thing.
Up and down, up and down.
Couple of millimeters and everything is perfect. So, you know, it's, and I know I've gone full circle, right? On the one hand, accept yourself, do your inner work, let all this shit go. But on the other hand, it's do the inner work and have grace with yourself and say, okay, I've done my work. I eat well, I sleep, all the things, and I still want to look a little bit better. I still want to refresh. So now let's educate ourselves on what are the things that we can do to provide that refresh in a balanced kind of way.
Such lovely points. Have grace with yourself. That is the best expression. And yeah, the basics, as you just said, are huge, because it's no good looking great on the outside if you don't feel good on the inside, and you've got to be feeling good on the inside in order to be able to it helps you feel good on the inside to do the work, to see the point. You know, if you have enough sleep, you feel better about everything, don't you? And interestingly, over here in the UK, all the aesthetic practitioners are getting into wellness in a big way. And as you mentioned, that regenerative procedures are very much the coming thing. Yes, to fat transfer, stem cell assisted fat transfer, where you have stem cells taken out of your own fat, mixed in with the fat that's being transferred, fat transfer, nano fat, PRP, PRF, was like very into that, mixing PRP with other things like prophyllo or polynucleotides or exosomes, which are little tiny messenger vesicles, which are very regenerative. So mixing up huge, great cocktails of all of that, maybe laser the face first and then stick it all in there. So you get great results, but without the kind of toxin and fillers that a lot of people aren't so keen on. Although there's been so much talk recently about celebrities dissolving their filler. It seems like there's a craze worldwide for celebs and actresses and whoever talking about having filler dissolved. They talk about it as if having had the treatment in the first place was a shameful thing to have done. They're now a better person for having dissolved it. What they never say is they've had it adjusted. They had it dissolved, but because it looked rubbish and they'd had it done badly, but they've had it done better. And they never
What
talk.
does that mean? They've had
Well,
filler
if you had lips that were huge and it had all migrated into your upper lip, you could have it all dissolved with hyaluronidase. It's an enzyme that dissolves hyaluronic acid, which is what the fillers are made with. Then your face goes back to how it would have been before. But mostly, particularly if they're older and they've taken out too much lumpy filler or it's gone up right here, the face will look to them hollow. So they will have more filler put in to balance it up, but they will have it done more skillfully so that they look lovely rather than overdone. But they never talk about that bit. So people get the impression that everyone's gone off filler, that filler's been cancelled. You know, I get asked to write this kind of thing for the papers. You want to say, well, they are. More people are appreciating where they've had awful work done and are talking about it, but they're not talking about the way they're just simply adjusting their faces. And if you talk to the companies who make the fillers, they're all seeing double-digit growth. You know, nobody is not doing this stuff anymore. The toxin and filler are the mainstay of any injectable, of any cosmetic practice that's offering these things. So yes, all the energy-based devices are becoming much more popular. People are very curious about them because they're an alternative to injectables. And when I say energy-based devices, I mean things like laser, which is based on light energy, or IPL, intense pulse light, which is a more scattered form, less coherent form of light than laser, of ultrasound treatments that stimulate collagen renewal in the skin, of radio frequency treatments, which heat the skin using energy based on radio waves, of plasma treatments that use ionized gas to create an energy source that again reaches into the skin, damages the collagen layer to stimulate that regrowth, or high intensity electromagnetic stimulation of the muscles, which will, you know, in the face, they can prop things up here. needling, microneedling with radio frequency. It's all there, and these things have all come through in the past 10 years and have become particularly more widely available, more of them about in the past 7 or 8 years. Those are really popular as an alternative. Somehow people feel that they're better in some way. I'm struggling not to say more sort of morally justified than they feel they're more okay with doing them, with talking about them, than they are with having needles put in their face. Though if those needles are carrying their own stem cells or their own fat, then they don't mind that so much. You have to look at sort of what the celebs will talk about doing and what they won't. The shutters tend to come down when it's needle-based stuff, or more so scalpels. And I know that's because they get huge pushback from their fan bases if they talk about having taken any direct action towards their faces. Everybody likes to think that they just all their famous idols just naturally look like that because it's their genes, because it's their bone structure. But physiologically, the same stuff happens to all our faces. We lose bone, we lose muscle mass, we lose the fat, or the fat pads flatten and slide and gather under our chins. You look in somebody's, if you got together your yearbook group from class of whatever, put them all in a long line, and they're all now 45 or 60, whatever, and you go along that line and you will see all the signs of aging, the textural changes, the pigmentation, the wrinkles, the drooping, the jowls, the eye bags, whatever, the hooding. All those signs will be showing up, and then suddenly, whoops, there's an outlier who bypassed all these things. Did that happen? Were they a freak of nature, or have they had some help? We accept that celebrities have help with their diets, with their exercise, with their wardrobes, with their dentition. So why are we so resistant to imagining they might have help with their faces? It baffles me, but everybody wants to imagine they're all natural. Sorry, so I've started ranting and I've gone off the subject, but there are all these procedures. Regenerative stuff is huge, and nobody has to do any of these things, because otherwise you'll end up like I do a post at the end of each year about my year in Tweakments, and I was just thinking, oh dear, it's nearly November, I'm going to have to write that piece quite soon. And I've done an awful lot of things this year, and it's mainly out of curiosity. It's also, this is my job. I have the opportunity to try these things. My audience wants to know what they feel like. I want to know what they feel like. But it does start to look completely mad. And it is like in the UK, we have this very, very long bridge up north, the Forth Bridge, Forth, crossing the Firth of Forth up in Scotland. And when they paint that bridge, it's so long. By the time they've repainted it and got to the other end, they have to start again. And I feel it's the same with my face. I start with a bit of toxin, prop it up with a bit of filler, clear the pigmentation, damp down the rosacea, get a bit of hydration in there. Before you know it, you've got to go back and start again at the beginning. Throw in a plasma treatment just because you want to see what it can do, which is mad and would be very costly. I'm 90% of the time not paying for these things because it's my work. And so I wouldn't ever tell anybody to do what I do. I'm kind of doing this stuff so they can decide whether it looks like a sensible thing, whether it's had any effect.
You're the guinea pig for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And things go wrong. Things do go wrong. And then people can say, oh, well, I'd never do that. I think, well, quite right. But it is all out there, but we do need to be very mindful about how we engage with it. And yeah, for myself, I mean, I try and eat well. I lift weights, I do yoga, I brush my teeth standing on one leg with my eyes shut to help balance, because I know those are the things that are really going to help me going forward. I work because I'm in an area I find completely fascinating, and I know I'm very lucky to have stimulating work where I'm learning stuff the whole time. Community is hugely important, having a sense of purpose, all those things are the fundamentals. It's exactly what you were saying now, and trying to avoid being the person who says oof when they sit down. I remember my brother-in-law pointing this out to me when he hit 60. He came round in a high old state, saying he'd just realized that all his friends who were turning 60, when they collapse into a chair, they all go oof with relief. And it ages them.
Buttery.
Exactly. Buttery is going to be my new aspiration.
These are great words. I'm so grateful. I'm going to have to wrap it up. I could talk to you girls for another several hours, no problem, but I know we all have to go, but I really appreciate the words of wisdom from both of you. I think I certainly have some great takeaways that I'm going to be using in my daily life. And before I wrap up, I do want to ask Leslie, who's been sitting here watching, and I'm sure she has some opinions. You want to jump in and let us know your thoughts, or if you have something to say for us.
Actually, I have a question. So I think it's great to start with the basics, and it's wonderful to do the internal work so that you're okay and secure and confident with who you are and how you present. And yet, the reality, I'm 58, I'm going through a divorce, and I've got girlfriends who are single who are saying, Leslie, you're now about to hit the wrong age bracket. You're going to have to lie and